All right, welcome to the video. Now, if you're trying to get out of a timeshare, this is likely going to be one of the most important videos you've probably watched. It's going to be a very simple video. I'm just screen capturing it off my iPad, so nothing fancy, no sales pitches or anything like that. I'm just going to explain something to you, and hopefully it's going to save you a lot of money if you're trying to get out of your timeshare, and it's going to be a guaranteed way for you to actually get out now, okay? And it's going to save you a lot of maintenance fees in the long run. But we're sitting here on my notes page, and what I want to do, and for those who don't know, my name is Jason from freefromvacationfees.com. So if you'd like any more info on what we're going to talk about here, you can certainly visit that site again, freefromvacationfees.com. So you're here because you want to get out of your timeshare, and there's two main ways you can actually get out of your timeshare. There may be more, but the two main ways are number one, and I would assume just based off my past experience in the industry and the stats that I've run, that somewhere around 90% of timeshare owners are going to try to sell their timeshare. Okay, so this might be you. The reason that you would want to sell or that you would try to sell is to just trying to recoup some of your initial investment. And could include things like the upfront purchase price, which in my experience, you could be anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 for that initial purchase. But truth be told, you may be even higher than that. I mean, we've come across people who have actually paid 20, 30, even $50,000 up front, which sounds ridiculous, but it does happen. And then when you tack on the maintenance fees over the years, so really what you're trying to do is trying to recoup that up front investment. And bear with some of the spelling here. Autocorrect should get it. Upfront investment plus your maintenance fees. That you paid over the years. And those are the reasons you would sell. Now, we're going to talk more about this in a minute, and I'm going to explain to you why trying to sell your timeshare is actually not a great thing to do. And on the flip side of that, there's another way you can go about getting out of your timeshare, which actually proves to be much, much better. Because quite frankly, you're just out. And we'll talk about that here in a very brief moment. But that other way is called a timeshare transfer. Okay, now that might sound confusing, but all a timeshare transfer is basically is it goes about essentially the same thing that selling would do. You're trying to transfer the ownership from your timeshare when you sell into the ownership of an interested party who would buy that timeshare. Well, a timeshare transfer basically works the same way, except for you're just paying typically a one-time fee up front to have your ownership basically transferred away from your timeshare. Okay, so you essentially get out. So basically, all you're really doing is just, for lack of a better term, transferring ownership. Now, again, you're doing that with selling, but the primary difference, and this is what gets confusing. Just if you're looking through information, the primary difference between a timeshare transfer and trying to sell your timeshare is typically when you're trying to sell, less than 1% of timeshares actually resell. Okay, and that's a point we're going to touch on here in a minute. And so that means that less than 1% of timeshare owners are actually able to get out selling. And if they try to sell, typically they're paying listing fees to try to list their timeshare for sale, and things like that. With a transfer, again, typically, yes, you're going to pay upfront, but you're going to get out, at least if you use a reputable company. Okay. Now, again, I stress the word reputable company because there are some scams out there, of course, as you know. It's a very scammy industry. But if you find a reputable company, the way to go about it typically is timeshare transfer. That's going to be your best solution. Now, I'm going to explain to you why that is. Because there's a lot of questions and a lot of confusion out there. So what I'm going to do is just follow along here. We're going to go into my website browser, and we'll go here. And a lot of people will go to Google when they're trying to get out, and they're going to type something along the lines of how to get out of my timeshare or sell my timeshare if they're trying to sell it. So let's just do that real quick. And I want to show you something really interesting if you're actually going to try to sell. And again, this will be one of the most important things you can learn if you want to get out of your timeshare, because it's going to help you get out right away. Okay, so we'll type in something along the lines of sell my timeshare, sell a timeshare, sell your timeshare. And they will come to this page. And again, you can do the same thing. This is Google. Another search engine would be Bing. Maybe you come to Bing and you've done the same thing. You could have gone to Yahoo and also done the same thing. But they'll type here, and you'll see a list of ads and other various information on how to go about selling a timeshare and other things like that. We won't go through all of this, but what I want to share you is what you won't see, because this is incredibly important if you want to get out of your timeshare. What you're not going to see is a site called eBay. Okay? Now, the reason I want to show you this is that eBay is, as of the date of this video, the #1 place to list your timeshare for sale. It has more timeshare listings than any other website on the internet. Okay? So I can just give you a brief overview of this. You can type in something along the lines of timeshare for sale, and you're going to come in here and you're going to see literally there are thousands of timeshares for sale. Okay? And that means thousands of owners trying to list their timeshare, trying to get out of their timeshare via selling. Okay? And what I really want to point out is that these are very nice properties. Many of them are super nice properties. And they're basically essentially trying to give these properties away. I mean, look at this one. Okay, the initial bid that will be considered is $1. There's $1. There's $1.30. Here's another dollar. People are basically trying to give their timeshares away, and there's thousands upon thousands of them. And that is why it's so hard to sell. Okay, that is why less than 1% of timeshares are actually able to be resold, and actually those numbers are even becoming tougher now here in post 2019, just for the sheer amount of owners who want to get out of their timeshare. And this is important to you as a timeshare owner looking to get out, specifically because it simply means that you should not be trying to sell your timeshare. Again, don't take my word for it. You should do your own research. But what I'm conveying to you is that you should not be trying to sell, and that can save you a lot of money knowing that. Now let's go back here to our notes, and I'm going to explain to you why. So let's just go down here. The issue with trying to sell a timeshare, again, is the competition. Again, less than 1% resell. And the mistakes people make is they don't know that. They don't know sites like eBay have thousands upon thousands of listings, and timeshare owners are desperate to recoup some of the investment. And I'm telling you right now that that should not be your goal, because if it is, what you're likely to do is you're going to pay an upfront listing fee to a company in order to have them try to sell your timeshare. And those listing fees are somewhere along the lines of $1,000 typically, maybe even, they can be as high as $2,000 depending on who you go with. But number one, you shouldn't be doing that because you can list your timeshare for free on the internet at eBay. But number two, whether you list it for free or you pay a listing company $1,000 to $2,000, the stats are still the same. Less than 1% resell, which means you're going to be out of that initial listing fee. Not to mention that you're also going to, if it doesn't sell within the next year, you're going to be charged another maintenance fee. And typically, the average listing space here for timeshares to resell, people try to list their timeshare for 2, even 3 years. We've had people trying to sell timeshares for even 5 years, and that means they've accrued, okay, an additional 5 years of maintenance fees plus paying listing companies to try to sell. And that means that can be as high as anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 just trying to sell, and they still don't get out. So that's what I want to caution you. If you're trying to get out, don't try to sell your timeshare, or give yourself a strict limit. Say you're going to try to sell it for 3 months and you're going to list it for free. But if you truly, once that point passes and you see you can't sell it, because let's face it, timeshares are basically nothing but open air. That simply means that nobody really wants to take over your timeshare listing fees. They can book vacations very cheap these days with the internet without actually paying a listing fee to be forced into using a timeshare, to be forced into a confined location every year. So that's why people don't want it. So your best bet, again, and I encourage you, again, do your research, is to do a timeshare transfer, because it means that you individually are not going to have to sell your timeshare. Again, now this typically means you're going to pay an upfront fee, okay, but provided you're using a reputable company, it's guaranteed, again, depending on the company, I want to stress that, guaranteed to get out. Okay, and that's what we specifically focus on here at Free From Vacation Fees.com. And you can visit that website again, freefromvacationfees.com, for more information. But I want to stress, do your research. Nothing in this video is intended as legal advice. Do your research. But the two basic ways, the main ways that people try to get out of their timeshare are through what we talked about here up above. They're trying to sell their timeshare. Okay. Again, they're trying to sell, and now just want to emphasize that, okay, with a bold. Typically, people are going to try to sell their timeshare, and maybe you have two, and I cautioned you against that. You do not want to pay money to try to sell. You do not want to waste a lot of time in maintenance fees, because basically selling, again, less than 1% of timeshares actually resell. Now, the other way that I wanted to stress, and this is typically what people get to after they discover that selling doesn't work and they've wasted a lot of money trying to list their timeshares to sell, is a timeshare transfer. Again, both methods basically transfer your ownership. It's just that with a timeshare transfer, provided you're using a reputable company, you are basically guaranteed to get out. Again, I want to stress, a reputable company. Now, do your research, But should you decide to visit the site, you can certainly contact us there at freefromvacationfees.com. The last point I want to make is that the upfront fee typically scares people away before they even know what it is. In almost all the cases we deal with, that upfront fee ends up being far, I want to stress this now, far less than what you are paying you will pay for your maintenance fee. Meaning, I want to stress that, far less than what you will pay for your maintenance fee. Meaning that if you just decide to do a transfer now, it's going to end up costing you far less than if you try to sell. If you pay an upfront listing fee, if you go over the next year and you have to pay more maintenance fees, typically it ends up being far less just to do a simple transfer. Again, you can contact us at freefromvacationfees.com. There's more info on that website. My name is Jason once again, and I hope you found this video at least somewhat useful. If you did, click the like button below. If you'd like to contact us, once again, you can simply come to the website and fill out the contact form there on the homepage at freefromvacationfees.com.